Hey, quick question for you. If you couldn't lie today, what would collapse? What would stop working? So years ago, I had a business, and I'm not going to name names here, but I had someone working with me. They were responsible for something in the business that was very, very important. And then they left the company. And when they left the company, everything stopped working, and we couldn't figure out why. This was a process that was supposed to be automated, systemized, that had been programmed years earlier. And we later discovered that it wasn't actually the case. It had been misrepresented as that, and this particular individual would come in every day and manually run this software to create the illusion of it being automatic. It really made me think about this question. When we go out into the world, how often are we just telling little white lies? And what kind of lies did we tell years ago that we're now having to keep alive today and keep the system going? There's a famous story, I wish I could find it, maybe someone can help me out with it, about a scientist who made these contributions to the scientific community with papers. And around when he died, there were 3 or 4 other contributors who also stopped contributing. And when they did some research, they discovered that he was actually using pseudonyms and posting complementary findings to his own to bolster his work. So somewhere along the way, he became so threatened and afraid that his life's work might be scrutinized or might come undone or might be debunked by the scientific community. And so what he developed was this whole alter ego, multiple alter egos to himself, to try and justify and reinforce his position so that he could maintain his standing and his esteem and reputation. The joke is it caught up with him in the end anyway. I mean, obviously he died, so maybe he didn't have to live with the consequences, but his name was Mud at the end of it anyway. You know, you think about like what things are you having to add to your day, into your schedule, into your routine to keep a lie going. You know, if you go out and you meet someone, you kind of got to remember, oh, that's right, I told these people this thing about me. You know, this is my actual name, or this is the qualifications I have, or, you know, that time I did that thing that I never really did, but they keep bringing the story up. Whatever it might be, it's kind of interesting to think about how many people have little white lies that they've got to remember. And if they actually weren't able to lie today, it would maybe come undone. There's a weight to that stuff. That stuff is heavy. That stuff follows you around. It's a bit of a curse. And when you think about the reason you might have created it in the first place, it might have been to impress someone. Maybe it was to get them off your back, or maybe it was to feel like, oh, by saying that thing, they'll like me more, or I'll belong, and, you know, then I won't be rejected. But the next thing you know, now you've basically living this fraudulent life at a really weird level and over the dumbest of things. And the problem with that is, if they ever found out, people sit there and think, why would you lie about that sort of stuff? And if you've lied about that, what else would you have lied about? And I know, like, growing up as a kid, it was always just like, just be honest. It's better to be honest. And, you know, there were so many times as a kid where you just be honest, and then you get in trouble for being honest, and the kid who would lie would get off the hook. And so you'd sit there and go, well, that doesn't work, you know, so I'll just lie next time. And I can see the temptation, like, we've all done it. I think about some of the lies that I've told over the years, just dumb things, little things that made me think, like, why did I say that? Why did I do that? You know, why did I misrepresent that? Why did I embellish that story? Why did I add or remove key information from that to make it sell better or sound better? You realize that that takes a toll on you. You know, you start to carry that, and it starts to get a bit heavy. It's a nice little exercise I like to do for myself. It's a way to sort of subtly check in, like, am I still misrepresenting myself somewhere? Am I pretending to be someone that I'm not? And if I didn't do that today, like, what would happen? What would collapse? What would fall apart? And as I get older, and as I practice being more radically self-honest, I'm grateful to say that there's virtually no days anymore where I feel like I have anything left to protect like that. There's a freedom in that. When people talk about wanting peace and power and freedom and self-expression and self-love and self-trust, this is a really good place to start. Because, you know, we can demand that other people be honest with us, and that other people don't hurt us, and other people don't betray us and deceive us. And yet, sometimes we can be the most deceptive person to ourselves of all. Something to think about. See you next time.